Hi, it's Jessie from Squeegee Ink. Welcome back to Printer's Corner. This is where I answer all the questions you've given me over the internet, so in my comments, and I answer them in a little bit more detail. Today's questions are around whether you should go into screen printing or DTG, and about using ultracolor transfers for neck labels, and also what mesh to choose for underbases. Our first question is from Zara Rector, and they said, great video and very thorough. My personal issue is that I really love the quality of screen printing, but I want to be able to offer lots of design consistently. That's why I think I have to go down the DTG route. Dilemmas. So this comment was left on our screen printing t-shirts full course video. That literally shows start to finish how to do it, including branding and exposing screens and all of that. And basically, DTG is not going to emulate the quality of screen printing. It's really a stand-in for certain jobs, and it is good for certain things. But I think a lot of people have a misconception on DTG being cheap. But if you're the brand owner, like I think this person is, and they're getting into it, DTG has just the same amount, if not more, overheads, and definitely more running costs daily than screen printing, because you have the special inks that if you're not using them all the time, you're basically just flushing those into a maintenance tank. You still have to get pre-treat. You might even have to get special drying cabinets. You've got the machine. You've got maintenance costs on that machine if you don't know how to operate it. The costs are building up. So if it's a cost thing, screen printing is going to actually be better for you, because you could even skip all the exposures, the film positives, and go straight to getting yourself a batch of pre-exposed screens with all your different designs on that you want to print for your brand. And that seems much easier, because then you've got your designs on your screens that you've cleaned off from your last job. You can store them on a shelf or something, and then as and when those orders come in, you can print a small batch, and you've got much more flexibility in that regard. You can still switch out the inks and the t-shirt color and get variables like that involved. So I still want you to do some more research on the running costs and the use of screen printing and having different designs in your storage ready for your customers, because I still think it's going to be the best way for you to go at this point. Our second question is from Dimitri Kotsis 5423. They asked, why do they have a white layer? Tell me, is it so that the black can't be seen from the outside of the garment? So this question is relating to inside neck labels. We always basically use ultracolor transfers for our neck labels, and they do have this kind of like white backing on them. And the question was about whether the white layer was to block them being seen from the outside of the shirt when people are looking at them, so they can't see the logo on there. I think it's just a thing. So basically, it's not the reason why it's there in the first place, because that's an adhesive layer, because you heat press these on. So the adhesive basically melts into the garment and bonds onto the fabric and keeps your little logo transfer in place. And it just happens to be white. But I think it's just a happy accident that it also blocks out the color of the transfer itself from being seen on light colored garments. So I think it's a happy accident, and hopefully they never change the backing color, but that's the reason why that has happened. Our final question is from Scotland Sky Surf 8948, and they said, do you use more print strokes for plastisol when using high mesh screens? I definitely can't clear the mesh in one pass on my 200T screens, for instance. I usually do 2 or 3 strokes on a 157T underbase on a black t-shirt. Are you mostly using lower mesh screens to achieve this? Thanks for all your helpful videos. Keep up the great prints. There's a few things in there. We definitely wouldn't go anywhere near 200T screens, which are probably more like, I don't know, maybe 77T mesh in the UK. That's very, very high for what we're doing with our Plasticell ink and our setup. We probably go to 55T for our underbases even. It just means that we can clear the mesh in one stroke, and it's very simple and it's easy. And the viscosity of our ink allows us to be able to do that, and all our variables have matched up. If you're really adamant that you need to use these very high meshes, there are 3 things that you can look out for, which would be to do more pressure on your print stroke, but it's probably already difficult as it is. Slow down your print stroke so that you're able to force the pressure over a smaller area on the screen, and maybe even look at sharper blades. But in all honesty, I would just go right down on your mesh count and lay down a bit more ink in one pass, especially for underbases, because that's not normally where the detail's held in the design. So I would just shift everything down and make sure that you're clearing in one print stroke. Another thing that I'm seeing and I'm starting to learn about myself is when you're printing simulated process, if you're having to lay down, say, the red or the white or any of the colours twice, you've ruined the whole idea of the simulated process separations. So if you're hitting down double red, you're putting down too much red and you're ruining your image. It's much, much better to have a bigger half-tone dot on a lower mesh count screen and to be able to clear your screen on one print stroke and actually lay down the amount of ink that was intended by the software, such as like Sep Studio NXT, rather than for some reason trying to go much, much higher, much, much finer, and all those details are being lost anyway. So start on lower mesh, and if you're really nailing it and think, I can make this print slightly better by going higher, then that's the time to go for these higher meshes. To round up our main question for this week, which is, should I learn to screen print my own shirts or buy a DTG printer? The answer is always learn the craft, learn how to screen print. Don't try and just, skip some steps and go for DTG, because it's not the answer to all of your issues. Learn your craft and you'll just do so much better in knowing how to use these skills for your brand. And now it's time for this week's community poll.
Community poll.
Community poll is where I ask the community questions on YouTube. I do it on the community tab on our YouTube channel, Squeegee Ink. I've got all the different questions there. They're often multiple choice about current events. So make sure that you answer as well and see what all the other printers are up to at the same time. This week's question was, as DTF becomes more widely used, and the options were screen print will die out, there will still be a place for screen print, only 10% of screen printers will survive, or other answers in the comments. And at the moment, 89% of you think that there'll still be a place for screen print. And this is great news, because I feel like there's some positivity still remaining in the print community. This question was actually asked because we're seeing a trend of the really big studios get knocked quite badly by the DTF industry coming about, and they're even switching to DTF and selling off their screen print studios. These are the really big boys anyway. So I don't know, maybe stay small, hone your craft, and start doing prints that other print methods can't even touch, like, all the really cool inks and things. So basically just double down on your craft, because it's still going to be valuable in the future. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and don't forget to leave me more questions with hashtag Printers Corner in my comments, and I hope you have a really great time printing this week.